Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Tier 1 podcast. Joining me is football journalist and editor of United We Stand and the man that gave me my first ever job, so it's all your fault. I'm here. Andy Mitten. How are you, Andy? You good?
I'm fine. Enjoying the tour. It's near the end now, so back to Europe and on to Dublin for the next game.
I want to just ask you about the tour, because you've covered... How many tours that you covered now?
I did my first one in 1991, so yeah, a lot of tours. Interviewed Alex Ferguson on that very first one in Norway, and initially it was Europe, and then in 95 it was Asia, Kuala Lumpur,
right,
and then 97 it was Hong Kong, and 99 was China, Japan in 97. So all of them. We've seen the world really, and it's a real privilege to do that because you meet people from everywhere who love Manchester United.
You did Sir Alex Ferguson in 91.
Yeah.
You're not that much older than me.
No.
How old were you then?
I was a kid and I was an idiot, so I wrote him a letter saying I wanted to interview him, and he wrote me a letter back saying, yeah, that's fine. I don't like fanzines, but I like your fanzine.
Right, okay.
Come and introduce yourself to me at the changing rooms after this game in Lillestrøm.
Amazing.
So I went to the changing rooms and he was in the shower, and he came out the shower with a towel and said, can we do it tomorrow instead in Trondheim, a different city? I was just interrailing around with my mates. We travelled north to Trondheim, met him in the team hotel, did the interview. Told the story a few times. I recorded him on a big red tape-to-tape ghetto blaster. He looked at me like I was an idiot, because I was. I asked him a load of terrible questions because I'd not learned how to be a journalist. And after an hour I said, I'm going to go because my mates are waiting for me at the train station. And walked out of an interview with Alex Ferguson. He looked at me as if to say, you're an idiot.
You said I've got to go.
No.
He was happy to chat to you, and you're like, do you know what?
He'd been talking to me for an hour, but I didn't want to stand my mates up. My mates were waiting for me. I didn't want to be late for them.
Right.
So yeah, I messed that up badly.
No, I think you've recovered from it, to be fair. Obviously, you covered loads of tours. What did you get with the sort of the mood of the camp and everything? Because you speak to Eric Ten Hag at every press conference. You spoke to some of the players as well. You can judge how everyone's feeling. Do you think this is a positive sort of feeling at the minute at the club?
Yeah, it is positive. And I think that's because there's respect for the manager, who's done a good job. So he's putting these building blocks in place, which gives the players confidence, which breeds optimism and enthusiasm. New signings do the same thing. And last season was a good season. It wasn't a great season, but it was a good season. And I think humans and football fans are always predisposed to be optimistic at the start of the season, because you're hoping for improvement, for things being better. It doesn't always work out like that. But when you win in pre-season, that result against Arsenal was good. So no, I've spoke to a lot of people. I mean, not every player has the same view, but I think the majority are pretty happy with how things are, and I am as well. I think my main issue would be with the ownership of the club. That needs to be sorted out. But I think this tour has been a success. And even though there's been a lot of travelling, the team have actually spent a full week in San Diego, using good facilities there. So Eric's on it. He's on the ball. No, his priority is getting that team to start well, unlike last season.
You mentioned the ownership. I mean, obviously you were on our documentary we did about the Glazers. It all seems to have been quiet. Is that just the general feeling at the minute? It's just gone quiet on that front, because
just gone quiet.
Not had any updates.
It's gone quiet.
Yeah, there's nothing going on.
If there's anything happening, I'd be reporting on it. But it's gone quiet. So I could come out with some balance of probability nonsense, like some people do, and say, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that, or this is happening soon. But I've heard nothing. And journalists would be speaking to the different parties. I don't know a single person who knows right now what's going to happen with the ownership of Manchester United. I just think it's gone on for 8 months now. That's too long. I think the fans deserve some clarity. The players do, the club does. There's a lot of really good people work at Manchester United. They deserve to know what's happening. And uncertainty doesn't help anyone. And I don't know, when people say, would it be Qatar, would it be the Sir Jim Ratcliffe bid? I don't know.
No, I think
I just don't know.
That's fair. And I think we've gathered that from a lot of people, that no one seems to know anything. There's a lot of contradictory things going out, and it seems like maybe some camps are briefing journalists, something's going on there, but nothing's happened.
The briefs would be like, we're feeling optimistic, and I believe them.
Yeah.
Because they're optimistic because they want something to happen. But that doesn't mean that something is going to happen. and there's a big difference there.
Just on the camp, and obviously we've got new signings coming in, Mason Mount, Andre Onana. Recently we had an announcement that Rasmus Hojlund's going to join the club. What do you make of the way United have gone about the business this summer? Because it's only July and we've got 3 players in, which by United standards, not too bad going. Are you sort of pleased with the way it's gone and the players they've brought in so far?
Yeah, I think every player, when they sign, fans have idealised versions of what they're going to be like, and they're always going to be successful. So yes, I am pleased that the free transfers have been done relatively early, that the initial asking price has been knocked down on each of them, that it's a goalkeeper the manager absolutely trusts, who gets rave reviews. Mason Mount, I saw him a lot for Chelsea, live. I think he's a very good player. And Hojlund, I'd love him to come good, and he's clearly got huge potential and a lot of attributes which the manager's attracted to. But if none of them turn out to be a success, you can't say that the transfer window's been a success. But I think Erik ten Hag's judgment of players is good. I think his recruitment so far has been good. Lisandro Martinez, Casemiro, they would be the best ones. Then Christian Eriksen, then Anthony, and then Tyrell Malacia. There's not been any flops from players who've been signed permanently. So I would be going into this season thinking that Manchester United will be better than last season. And maybe there's more signings. I think there'll definitely be players moved on because United needs to bring money in. The club needs capital. This is why the Glazers went to market originally. The stadium needs to be done. These are big ticket issues for Manchester United. But yeah, I'm not unhappy about any of those signings at all.
Smooth Sack Summer is here, and if you want to join the 8 million men that look after their balls, then you need to click on the link in the description and join Manscaped using the code Paddock Tour, because you will get 20% off. You will get the Crop Reviver, the Crop Toner, the Lawnmower 4.0 with the multifunctional on-off switch. I love a switch that doesn't just go on and stay on, it also does off as well, and it does this. You've also got the Shed travel bag to put it all in. You've got the Boxer briefs. You've got the Weed Whacker. Men of my age, we get nasal and ear hair. Thanks to the Weed Whacker, that is no more. And they've thrown in the Shears 2.0, so you can do your nails as well. They've got everything. And let's face it, it is roasting out there, yeah? We've been in Vegas. It's absolutely sweltering. Manchester's had some decent weather as well. You don't want to be carrying around a great big bush with you, do you? Come on, let's have it right. You need to get rid of that, and with Manscaped you can. Plus you're going to get free shipping, and you're going to get 20% off. All you've got to do is use the code Paddock Tour. There's a link right there in the description, so click on it. Your balls will thank you for Smooth Sack Summer. I was looking at the Casemiro I think he did the mix zones the other day, and his English is picked up, because you spoke to him in Portuguese, didn't you? You spoke to Fred last season as well in Portuguese.
Yeah, Spanish, actually.
Spanish, sorry. Spanish with Casemiro, Portuguese with Fred, and he seems to be picked up his English, because I was like, I noticed he was doing.
So was he doing it in English?
I presume so. He had a lot of English journalists around him, so I thought so. Yeah.
No,
I thought, because one of the lads I spoke to said his English is getting better. He can get a conversation.
It might be getting better.
But it's still not there.
I've only ever spoke to him in Spanish.
Right, so you did in Spanish.
I did him at Bournemouth the last game of the season, and it was on the condition that it was in Spanish.
Right, okay.
So I think he's only doing interviews in Spanish.
Okay. I was giving a bit of information there.
Because I was asked to actually do that interview in Houston.
Right.
I wasn't in a position to do it.
Right,
so
okay.
I think I was asked because I could have spoken it with him. So it's a shame that I couldn't do that. But he's a bright fella, and I know several of them have been having English classes.
I remember the one Fred last year, because he came and you stood next to me,
and
I said, "So can we have a word with you?" He went, "You don't speak any English," and I was like, "Oh right," because I always forget you speak. You're multilingual.
Funny with a lot of them is their partners and children speak very, very good English.
Right.
The player's often the last person to perfect.
Right. Okay.
But then Martinez speaks very good English.
Right.
Garnacho, because he's come from being a young lad. So if you're younger, it's easier to learn.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Or then you can have the Carlos Tevez, who just...
Did he ever learn English in his entire time in Manchester?
He knew more than he cracked onto, but
right.
Players can use it as a get-out clause. Like, oh, I can't speak to you because, I can't speak the language.
Managers have done that as well. I remember Mancini did that a few times when I used to cover Manchester City.
Yeah.
Just on United we stand. What's happening on that front? Because obviously Mag's still going strong at a time when a lot of fanzines are struggling as well. Just what's been happening there, and how important do you think it is, Andy? I know you're obviously the editor of the fanzine, but to have that voice, to have the fans' voice, because for a lot of fans, especially some older fans as well, the fanzine's their port of call.
Yeah, they are. It still goes well. People still buy it in really good numbers. Our big issue in the last 2 years has been the cost of paper has doubled, and I've been reluctant to put the price up. So I've not put the price up, and my other journalism pays me well enough, so I've been able to get my income that way. The mag's flying. Its subscription levels are higher than they've ever been, and it's a sanctuary from the noise that you often see online. You know, we get talented writers, and the stuff in there is well sourced and original. You see original stuff on there which we will not see anywhere else, and our readers appreciate that, and they either buy it, a printed copy, or they get the digital version. And then there are some people who will not pay for any form of content at all. They just think that journalism should be free.
Yeah.
I can't really work with that. You know, I flew yesterday to San Diego to see the manager. My flight wasn't free.
No.
My hotel wasn't free. So quality journalism has to be paid for in some way. Otherwise, you're just left with clickbait.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people who are just quite happy with that. But our readers want something different, and they get something different. And we've got some really good interviews coming up. And we always look for talented writers. And within Manchester United's fan base, because it's so big, there's a lot of talent there.
There is, and I'm not going to name names, but I remember sitting with a journalist once. He's done a lot of writing for a big paper, and he saw me talking to you, and he went, "I was trying to write for United Stand years ago, and I got knocked back."
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Well, I'll tell you off camera. How's James Young getting on? Is he still there?
Yeah, James is a good young writer.
Yeah.
And he's enthusiastic, and he needs to improve his writing.
Yeah.
He needs to become a better writer, just like I did when I was his age.
Yeah.
And I will try and help him become a better writer. And there's times when he drives me absolutely mad. But
I know James well. I know that
it's
feeling.
coming from a good place,
Yeah.
and he goes to a lot of matches, and he works really hard. And
He does.
if he does things right, he can become a good journalist, and he can make a living out of it. But it's a very competitive industry, and it's very hard to make a living out of it. But if you're going to be to do it as a profession, you need to earn a thing called money.
Yeah.
You know, you can't like go to your bank and say, I can't pay you this month for the mortgage, but I'm really popular on social media. It just doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. I think some people think it might do, but it doesn't.
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You tend to have to pay for quality. You know?
Yeah.
That's how it is. And there's a lot of really good writers around. There's a lot of there's a huge demand for content about Manchester United, and you pick and choose that content.
Yeah.
What's right for some person is not right for others.
I love United Stand as well with like the song recommendations with articles, and people talk about songs from that era. My Spotify list is always getting added to when I read some of the articles.
The culture's more than just a game on 90 minutes. We don't obsess over transfers. You know, it's the whole gamut of what surrounds Manchester United. And then a lot of it is about the match-going culture. But we've had amazing articles in the last 6 months about a guy who was kidnapped by the Taliban.
Yeah.
Incredible story. We had a Syrian lad write for us who had to escape his country during the civil war. So I'm really proud of like the diversity in the fan base, and some of these people have got really interesting stories beyond I support Man United because of David Beckham.
Yeah.
And I went last year to Saudi Arabia, I went to Pakistan, I went to places where a lot of journalists don't go to.
No.
And I will have the courtesy of meeting these people and finding out what their story is. And some of them are really interesting. Other people aren't bothered reading about stuff like that. They just want to know who's signing next. Fine, if that's your thing, go for it. But, well, we've got some pretty witty writers, and we've got some new ones for this season.
I'm looking forward to it. There's a link in the description. Go and check out United We Stand. Just looking ahead to this season, Andy, just finally, made some signings. You spoke about the mood in the camp. Mentioned Garnacho, good young player coming through. Marcus has just dropped a 30-goal season. How do you think the season's going to pan out? You feeling pretty confident United can sort of challenge at the top?
I'm an optimist, Jay. So, yeah, I do think that the signings will improve the team. But I also thought that Shinji Kagawa was going to be the best player in Europe when he signed. You're not always right on these things. No. Ten Hag's stock is high at the moment, but Jose Mourinho's was high in January 18, and 9 months later he lost his job.
Yeah.
So it can change very quickly. Ole Gunnar had a really good run right at the start. But I think this manager has got what it takes. It's very, very difficult to compete against teams like Manchester City with the way that they are funded. It just is.
Yeah.
And Newcastle United are going to become stronger. You'd have to assume that Liverpool can't be as bad as last year. The same with Chelsea. It's going to be very, very difficult. But I'm still confident in spite of that. And we've got the Champions League this year, and Manchester United should be in the Champions League.
Yeah,
should
definitely.
be doing well in the Champions League.
100%.
It hasn't been good enough. I'm still pissed off we didn't win the Europa League.
Yeah,
Really am. That was that Seville game still drives me mad.
So
at Old Trafford.
Yeah, the last 10, 15 or whatever.
Interviewed Seville's manager a couple of weeks ago. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Just about how he couldn't communicate to his players at Old Trafford because it was so loud. That was really interesting.
Really?
There was other stuff which, I mean, the interview's not out yet, so I can't
okay, yeah, give it
here.
us all and we'll just tweet it.
But they, United were cruising in that game, 2-0 up. Got lucky at the end. United lost Martinez, and then that game in Andalusia was pathetic. It was a disgrace.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have happened like that. But sometimes that does happen in sport. But Manchester United have got to avoid, defeats like that in the secondary competition. But I'm feeling pretty all right about it. I would hope that Anthony has a better second season, that Jadon Sancho continues to improve. I've seen glimpses pre-season. That Martinez doesn't get injured, that Malacia improves, that Marcus has another good season, that Anthony Martial is not injured all the time.
Yeah,
because he's talented.
He is.
But he's injured all the time.
Yeah, he's constantly injured.
Dalot improves as a player. Look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka, where we were a year ago. He was in a pretty bad place at the start of last season. Finished the season strongly. So that's your best case scenario. That's your idealised version of what can happen. Manchester United have beaten all them teams at Old Trafford last season. But it's that away form that's got to improve. I keep asking the manager about it. He just says consistency. So he knows what's got to be done about it. So how do you get that? In his mind, you get a better goalkeeper. You get a younger midfield. The players is signing a 20-year-old Danish forward who will be under huge pressure, Rasmus Hojlund. But he'll get a lot of support as well. Get a huge amount of support at the games.
Yeah, no, I feel that, definitely.
There'll be people online absolutely killing him after 2 games. That's a horrible side of the support. And it's not just Manchester United, it's every club like that.
Yeah, they all do it.
The reality of the match is he will get well supported. And I really hope that he does well. But he needs time and he needs support.
He needs time, he needs support. Bang on, as always, Andy. Go and check out United We Stand, like I said, a link in the description. Always a pleasure chatting to you.
You too, mate.
You're going to get to go home soon, or is it more flights, nip home and then?
No, I mean, it's August, July is a busy time of year. My daughter's been travelling with me.
I love
that. It's been lovely. I did not do stuff like this when I was 12 years old. I went to North Wales. And if I can involve my family, I do. Especially this time of year, they were in Oslo with me for the pre-season game a few weeks ago. But I chose this life. I love this life. I'm fine with this life, and it's really interesting. You're travelling and meeting interesting people. So, got the Dublin one coming up, and then the season starts. So we'll be waiting then on the Champions League draw. I'll be wanting places we've never been to before, but that's harder in the Champions League. Last year in the Europa League was great. Moldova, Nicosia.
Have you ever tried to work out how many grounds you've been to? Because I'm thinking it must be impossible for you. Because you've been doing this for so long.
Football grounds.
Yeah.
I've been to 91 out the 92 league grounds. I bet I've been to 600 or 700 football grounds.
Right.
I've been to about 120 countries, and I've seen United play in 45, 46 countries. Yeah, so a lot. I love it though. I like.
Typical armchair fan. Johnny come lately. Glory hunter.
I went to Iran, and these lads got in touch with me on social media in Tehran. That was wonderful.
That's
6
mental.
different people got in touch with me.
Yeah.
And they're like, we read your stuff. I'm like, how are you in Iran? And like, well, we use a VPN, rerouted through our uncle in Vancouver.
That's
and
it.
I met these people, and how great's that?
That is mental.
I just love stuff like that.
Love that. I love that. It's been great being on the tour as well, meeting fans here. We're in Las Vegas, meeting fans in San Diego, in New York, New Jersey, and Houston as well. It's always great to see so many United fans from around the world. Go and check out United We Stand. Make sure as well you are hitting like, share and subscribe. That's been Andy Mitten, journalist and editor at United We Stand. I've been Jay Motty. This has been the Tier 1 podcast. Thanks for watching.